Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm good. How was your week?
Normal. Trying to think if I did it. I didn't do anything.
I lost you. I can't. I heard you, but I can't hear you now. Is that me?
Hey, I'm back. Yeah. No, I'd say looking forward to my flu shot on Tuesday. Just did my physical therapy, being a good, my being a good patient, and yeah, some work stuff too. But that's all. Nothing that I had to be in. Uh, I could do it virtually. I didn't have to be in real life, so to speak. How about you? You're
Same.
going off to a concert, I think, on Sunday.
I went to it was a that was a very good show actually. Yeah. No, and I've been to a few since then. Yeah. No, mostly this weekend and next weekend especially. I've been joking, there are too many good shows. I mean, it's you,
Oh,
and that's a great problem to have. And it's also representative that it's sort of the end of summer, and so I am preparing myself. I mean, Seattle's a good music town, and there are great shows all year round, but it is obviously a lot more outdoor things and festivals and things
yeah,
in the summer.
yeah.
Don't really have it doesn't get too cold, but it gets very, I don't know, something about the dark, especially when it gets dark so early, like at 3 in the afternoon, it makes it so
Yeah, yeah,
winter time. I don't know. So
yeah, yeah.
mean, yeah. So, and anyway, yes, no, I've been enjoying the music. Work-wise, things are going well. They were at I was at a back to school backpack giveaway last weekend, and they had a booth that was doing flu shots. Are you doing the COVID, or are we? Is that just we don't do
I'm
that?
supposed to do, well, this is interesting you mention it because well, I checked in with my primary care physician in the city, and he said, "Yeah, you should definitely get a flu shot and COVID." So I went online to my local CVS, and they gave me the appointment right away for the flu shot, but they said that the COVID was delayed, and I think the COVID shots are being delayed because of our administration. I think there's I read something, and I didn't read it very carefully, but it seemed to imply that they hadn't given the go ahead to allow insurance companies to. I don't know. It sounded bureaucratic, but it sounded also like it was a policy driven anti-vaccine.
My memory, yeah, I can't remember, but this was last year, I think. Yeah, they did some policy change where your insurance can still cover it, but they don't have to. And so, yeah, and then I mean it's like $138 or something. So people aren't going to get it if it's not free, and that's exactly what they want. I mean, and I mean, as far as how things are reported or not reported, I mean, all sorts of things with like RFK and autism. They're doing. I mean, they changed after he insisted in his confirmation hearing that they wouldn't, they changed the schedule for just the children's vaccines. One, which is ridiculous, they've separated or they've made it optional. Again, it's the same thing. You can use the regular vaccine, which the American Pediatric Association has recommended for decades, or you can use this new one based on whatever that we've made up. But the interesting thing about it is they separate the MMR, but currently, at least, it's not available separately. It's one shot, and there's no company that makes it separately. So now, how far are the pharmaceutical companies going to follow their fake science? Are they going to start making separate shots for people who want separate shots, despite the fact that that is medically inadvisable for children? But you see what I'm saying? Like I mean, it's again,
Yeah,
all no, no, no. You can do what you want. It's still available. But what parents hear, what they believe when they go to government websites, which traditionally have been trusted sources, and what
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
has real world implications. I mean, it's kind of wild.
See, leaving it up to you. I think that my age makes me eligible for the COVID shot, but technically, but I don't know who's paying for it. And anyway, the CVS said that they just said we'll let you know, basically. So I guess if I don't get it in the next 2 weeks here, I could get it in the city. I don't know. I mean, uh, um, so what else? Michael Cohen, am I disappointed? No. I mean, a bit. Am I surprised? No. No.
This officially cements my like never trust a never Trumper. They're always just one text away from being back in his inner circle. They're not they're only critical because they've been cast out, not because they're yeah, I don't. Yeah, I never fully trusted him anyway. I mean, he had some street cred because he actually went to jail. Like he suffered consequences that very few people did, and yet he squandered it now by glad handing and going back. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised. Yeah, not surprised. Not even.
He wanted him on his radio show. I mean, so uh, Trump said, "You've recanted," and he didn't say, "I have" or "I haven't." He
Inviting Trump, he has invited Trump's reality, and so now that is his reality. I'm sorry, that is what the reality he's accepted. He has recanted because
yes, yes, yes.
is now Trump gets to lie about him any way he wants, which he already did, but with his permission and approval because that's what he's signed up for. So yeah, I mean, and
I believe in everything and nothing.
neither of us had any. Neither of us had. I didn't even know he had a radio show, and that's the point. He needed. I mean, sadly, he needed Trump. So, um, I guess it worked out. He got. But and it that association shouldn't be. It shouldn't get you views and ratings. It should be toxic. It should be embarrassing. It should be, and it's not. And it's not for whatever reason in American society. I mean, obviously among the supporters, but in general society, he made a calculated thought that it's acceptable to associate with Trump, but it wasn't 2 years ago. Why is that? What has changed? He hasn't gotten better.
No, he's got a new job. I mean, he's got a different income stream, or yeah. Um,
Um,
he, the Cambridge professor who killed himself, um, and how complicated that seems to me to be, because I mean I've only read about it, but it seems to me that I I am astonished that his apparent claims were never, well, which seemed to me to be pretty outlandish, were never questioned. A B, and I don't know whether this is true. He was apparently given the job rather than two black women who were apparently, better qualified, because I don't know, I guess he was more of a but Cambridge figured he's that's what they wanted. I just don't understand it because I thought these things were very. I thought they were very strict. I mean, I thought it was very difficult to get into these places, and I mean,
Is I'm sorry, I don't think it is. I don't think.
I used to. Yeah, I'm old fashioned. I mean, I'm not up to date on it.
Don't I know, and I don't think it ever was. I don't think. I mean, I think not to be. I think well, Trump is a back to that briefly. Is an Ivy League graduate. Like they've always allowed,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
had, and that I mean that's on the student side. On the on the academic side, you've always had professors who everyone knew are only professors because they couldn't make it in the real world, that they just stayed in academia because they didn't have the people skills, they didn't have their I mean they're I would say academia covers its own a lot, but the specifically, and this isn't exclusive to academia, this specific thing of after something comes out, and this, I mean, we talked about this with the politician George Santos, with once one allegation comes out, then everyone else starts taking apart the dots, but 5, 10, 20 years ago of things, but these were things that at the time, all the means and tools to do their fact checking were available to them. They just didn't do it. And this is, I mean, and that's what I think has always been the case too, is that there have always been people who could sneak through. There have always been, and I don't know, again, I don't know too much about the details of this, but when you talk about him versus these women, a cult of personality where someone we've decided, I don't know, they're a good, they are charismatic and whatever it is, they have a good, compelling story that we want to attach ourselves to at the expense of doing due diligence, and it's across industries. You see it in, but specifically, and then the other piece of it is, and this is important, where the attacks are, where well, no, it is and isn't important. If an individual's career is built on a house of cards or whatever you want to call it, and fraudulence, then that should come out. But oftentimes, especially when these are people of when these are marginalized people, the attacks are coming from insincere people who don't care about the authenticity or the integrity of the organization. They don't care about, all they care about is attacking a person of color or
Yeah, well, that's how this started with a
piece of it can't be removed from it. Like what?
yeah.
Because we're seeing this over and over now, with it specifically in the United States with gender nonconforming, they're and teachers in particular, they're trying to find every teacher who is gay or and then find anything about them. And you as someone with multiple marginalized identities, you've always been told you need to be better than everything else. You need to basically be perfect. You can't make any mistakes, and that's always been true in the workplace. But now there are organized there are organizations whose entire goal and mission is to dox and out people and find any again and let's talk about it, that you have to be perfect is dominant culture, that is white supremacy, that because no one is perfect, and when they make mistakes, it's how dare you, everyone makes mistakes, but you better be perfect. And that's always been the case. I mean, none of this is new. We've been replaying, these are, but again, they're very organized and they have tools and they use the internet and they have research tools. And so anyone is, yeah, is
Yeah, well, you're seeing a lot of, well, I don't know, you're seeing a lot of, seems to me, a lot of black politicians, men and women, who are being accused of, I don't know, financial irregularities or I mean, things that are hardly earth-shattering and probably uh, untrue or marginal. In other words, but they are emboldened. I think the people who are the white right is emboldened to do it um, because it fits a stereotype also that
Um, and yes,
there's no but there's no stereotype, seems to me, for male white politicians who screw their secretaries. I mean that
route too. I mean, Eric Swindwell is a former Democratic representative. The crimes he's accused of are serious, but it's important to note are typically addressed at the state and local level. The fact that the federal government is they're using a weird civil rights carve out because they're to investigate him. But again, they're um, I'm not saying again. I'm not defending him if the crimes that he's or the
no, but they're exaggerating. They're blowing it up. Yeah.
that they're not meant for. First of all, it's they insist that the DOJ was weaponized against the right, but the DOJ has traditionally always made very clear that they were separate from the executive branch by, for instance, not being run by the president's personal lawyer. You know, I mean, it's like the most basic like separation of, but they're not interested in that. They're absolutely comfortable with very partisan, using every lever and tool, and feeling justified in doing so by saying, well, they did it, which is. Can we talk about Greg Abbott and airports and washing feet and have
Greg Abbott, and yeah,
this one
um,
airports in Texas and probably lots of places there are feet washing stations. They are for Muslim people to pray.
okay, yeah,
Use presumably, but they are because
yeah, yes, yeah.
therefore he is now insisting because airports are there because airports are public spaces. This is religious discrimination. Now remember, Texas currently has the 10 commandments in public school classrooms. This is religious discrimination because something that is public and available to everyone but is utilized by a small subset. He wants the DOJ to, and he is calling for the DOJ to investigate this as religious discrimination. And it's been pointed.
This is good. Yeah,
And I normally don't point this out because it's not normally relevant, but he is in a wheelchair. All wheelchair ramps are only used by a small subset of the population. I mean, anyone can go up a wheelchair ramp, but they're really only used. So is that discrimination? I mean, it's
well, uh, I guess you could say that um, access many times access to airplanes now are only ramps. So that discriminates against people who need or people who have mobility issues which are exacerbated by walking on ramps who need I yeah which is but back to the foot washing is interesting. There are non-denominational chapels in
attached to, which these are right next to, and yes, and yeah, those chapels have religious articles for multiple people, including.
I was going to say they probably have Qurans and Bibles and stuff, so you got to take them out too. I mean, right?
this is where they get themselves, because they've done this with holiday decorations too. They say we'll allow this but not that, and then the courts say you can't do that, so then they end up doing away with all the holiday decorations, but then they blame the Muslims or the Jewish people or whatever and say you took away Christmas, but it's because they wouldn't share the holiday season.
Um, I don't know whether it's in the U.S., but I think I have seen uh, quite elaborate um, dog toilet stations in airports. They do. They have fake grass. No, but they're for people who have to have their dogs. And I thought it was very enlightened, actually, the first time I saw one. But he really is now this he really he's saying they should be removed. He's saying
Investigating them as criminal. I mean, their existence as criminal. I don't. Apparently, that's the suggestion. If he wants the DOJ to investigate them, presumably of some crime or some wrongdoing, like that their existence is. Yeah, this is. I mean,
Todd Blanche will do that, won't he? If Donald Trump wants him to do it. I mean, he said he's refused to say that he won't be told what to do by Donald Trump.
the real point, whether they actually get these foot washing stations that are probably used, by however few or many people a day, remove, that wasn't the point. The point was othering. The point was, let's have a conversation about how Muslims are different from us. They have a different practice. It was, and yeah, wherever it goes, it's just gonna, they've already gotten into the national conversation, and that's the important part, is making Muslims a punching bag again. It has nothing to do with the actual foot washing stations. Which in the,
Oh, that's interesting. Well, because I guess there's not enough of a Japanese population is not great enough for them to. I mean, I would, if I was Japanese, in living in America, I would. I would be I would join the Muslims. One of the best run small museums in Japan, which is outside Tokyo. Um, it's not mandatory, but they have very elegantly designed, shaded, like maybe 20 stations for foot washing before you go into the museum. And that has nothing to do, that's not for Muslims. That's that's because you're going to climb a certain amount to get there, and it's yeah. So he, it's a dangerous thing for Greg Abbott. This could backfire. We could end up with foot washings everywhere, restaurants and.
right. No, I mean, yes, if the ACLU gets involved, and now we need, yeah, no. And let's not forget, Jesus washed feet. The Pope washes feet.
It's a big deal. Oh yeah.
And it's
Oh, it's a bit. It means yeah. You probably got foot washing in 9 out of 10, major religions, right?
of this, yeah, um, yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, that one was weird to me. And then the Mike Lindell, everyone keeps reporting it like hardy har har. He lost by double digits, and he wants a recount. He came very close. I think he came. I am more concerned by like 11 points. he shouldn't have gotten anywhere near that close. Like that itself is actually the concerning part to me. But I mean, this guy just won't go away. I mean, he just and someone. I mean, he was by his own account in a trailer park. He was destitute and a trailer park for those keeping score. And like, but didn't he have a lawsuit? So they made that all go away. What happened was Symantec, the company that sued him successfully, got bought by a Republican, renamed, and they just dropped the lawsuit. And so they're probably actually donating to his campaign now. Like now, and whatever the new company is called, like Freedom Something International, I wouldn't trust how they count votes anymore. Like I would, like they're like, yeah, they just
It was going to cost him a lot of money to have the votes counted, though, wasn't it?
someone's funding this. He's a grifter. It's not his money. He doesn't care. He all it does is keep him in the news. Someone, yeah, I this is he is.
Is he broke now or what? I mean, do people keep buying the?
Well, I do know how you go from broke to at least running for governor. It's the same way you go from broke to the White House. Trump was broke after January 6th, but they're grifters, and I have to give him credit. He's a very successful one. He built an empire in pillows and then lost that because he had a loud mouth, and then now he's built this other empire on being an election denialist loudmouth. Like he built a grift on that, which I guess credit where credit is due, but see, it's not his money. I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's someone else's money, and um, yeah,
Well, it's yeah. Well, what's happened to Rudy Giuliani talking about broke grifters? I mean,
I think
he and Michael Cohen and Pillow Man, they represent a subspecies of, yeah.
I mean, he when he was like, I remember when like whatever the judgment against him was like in the hundreds of millions, and then I think at the time Trump started a fundraiser, and I think it was like $100,000, which was sort of seen as like almost an insult. Yeah, I mean he's still around. I think he grovels at the feet. Yeah, he's still around in their circle, but they're not. I don't. And he also, I think, has a radio show or something. He has to keep working at 90 because he has to pay off his debts. I mean, he does. He owes.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
It must be so galling for them. At least the few that were held accountable is that they are paying off debts while others are still making those lies and claims that they are no longer legally allowed to make. He can't make election denial claims anymore. He'll end up back in court. He's done it. After he got sued,
Kept saying it, right? He said it. Yeah.
now I think at least on that topic, mostly kept his mouth shut. But Trump gets to keep saying it. Still to this day, gets to keep saying it. So I don't know. That must be it must be a tough life being Rudy Giuliani. But I'm not gonna. I don't feel too bad about that.
Um, so I just read that there was a semi-secret meeting between Jeffries and Jared Kushner. Um, have you read this? Well, apparently they know each other because in the first Trump administration, which Kushner was technically in, they worked on some bipartisan bill. But this was a meeting set up in New York by a mutual friend unnamed at a place unnamed. The speculation of the New York Times is that the Republicans are expecting to lose the House, and that this was a kind of proactive attempt on their part to establish some kind of bipartisan relationship with the man who would likely be leader of the House.
To Hakeem Jeffries. I'm sorry.
That's immediately what I thought. I
In communication and friends all along. This is just the first we're hearing about it. Um, is my
I think that it's probably something that was leaked by Jeffries to try to boost himself as a peacemaker or whatever, or as a leadership kind of.
no. That's
Kushner doesn't have. Kushner has no. He's not a He's not in the administration, and he's not a politician. He. We know who he is, and he's running around working for Trump.
not an envoy. Does he not have a title? This because last time around he was an unpaid, unofficial advisor to the White House. Both him and Ivanka had that title. This time
He doesn't. He can be sent to do things.
I mean, he's very
He is.
the Saudis and all that.
For some reason, probably good reason, which may have to do with security. I don't know. He's not. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I leaked by Jeffrey. I mean, they will do anything to distance themselves from Democrats and to associate themselves with the right. Like he is that. He is the I just found out, and this isn't him, but this is the Democratic National Committee. They tried to block ranked choice voting, which is basically how it's one of the ways many of when people are like, what is happening? How are all these Democratic socialists getting elected? How are all these upsets?
that's how Mamdani got elected. Mayor, we had ranked choice voting.
They tried to block it for presidential primaries. The vote against it was 90%, so overwhelmingly. But they basically, those who have consolidated power are doing everything they can to hold on to and consolidate their power, and that's true on the left and the right, and that means those in the center, and I'm including Jeffries in that, are more aligned with Trump and his people right now than they are me or anyone who shares my values, in my opinion. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I know what I'm doing at the midterm. I'm holding my nose as I have done so long, but depending on who the presidential nominees are, I'm nervous because I don't know who or what I would vote for president, and it's been a very long time since I've just said I'm not voting at all, because I do believe it's important, and I have no faith in this party anymore, and specifically the center of the Democratic Party, who have done everything they can to throw everyone left of them under the bus and align themselves with the right, very publicly.
Some Democratic socialists will get elected in the midterms. Some will, right? Probably from deep blue states. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you think there will be a Democratic socialist candidate for president?
Not this time around. I mean, no. Oh wait. AOC. No, I don't think she's going to run for president this time. But she is a Democratic socialist, and she is probably the highest profile. She's the only one I've heard floated that people would say. And 2028, she is eligible. She will be 35, and so she is eligible. Other than that, I don't see. I mean, not since. I mean, Bernie Sanders is not running again anymore. Yeah, I would, let's not speculate there. That's too far ahead. But I mean, the midterms, I think. Yeah, I think they will flip. I think they will flip.
House, the House, not the Senate.
No, well, who knows, and what they do with it. I'm more concerned with what they do with it. I mean, I don't know if they will. I don't.
The point is, even if they don't flip the Senate, it will be clear, I think, I hope, maybe I hope, that Trump has no teeth anymore in terms of senators being able to vote against him without fear. In other words, he won't have any leverage with the Senate.
Interesting. The a Trump endorsement is not a guarantee, though I'm still thinking back. Almost everyone, when you said voted against him, almost everyone who he wanted out is out, whether either they lost in a primary or they're retiring or I mean the he can't, yeah, again, he can't guarantee who's in, but he seems to be able to at least have thus far been able to guarantee who's out.
He's a spoiler. Yeah. That's interesting. Wow.
And again, ruining things is what he's best at. Fixing things and creating things is not his forte. But
Oh, he's a destroyer. I mean, yeah, he's the bull in the china shop. Yeah. Um, okay, so entertainment. I was surprised by a movie that we saw last night that would not necessarily have been my choice. A because I it seemed to be a kind of a bro comedy called Good Fortune, but it was written by Aziz Ansari with Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen. And it turned out to be very interesting. And I didn't realize until I looked it up this morning that Aziz Ansari had written. I mean, it was basically his movie. In other words, um, and it's a kind of. I mean, the premise is a bit of a cliche. Keanu Reeves is a low grade angel who's supposed to stick to his job as stopping people from texting while they're driving, but he oversteps his mark and he ends up. Aziz is a kind of a down and out gig worker, and Seth Rogen is a incredibly rich investor in whatever with a huge house and Hollywood Hills, and So anyway, they switched. Their lives are switched. Yeah. So, but what's interesting about the film is that there's a lot more attention given to the trials and tribulations of the people at the low end of the ladder, the gig economy, piss bottles, working at what is obviously like builders, one of those places, and Amazon and delivering people's food and stuff like that. I mean, it really, really drills down on that. It's funny, but it's also that is not just it's not thrown away. It's like look at this, and the rich stuff is not dwelled on. I mean, because everybody knows what you do when you're rich. You have a swimming pool and a sauna, but and then there is a subplot where the girlfriend, as Aziz Ansari's black girlfriend, becomes a union organizer in her uh, big box. She fails, but she's trying to organize her workers into a union. So it's interesting that I hadn't seen this type of comedy in a long time. I mean, because I don't, I wouldn't go and see a comedy that had Seth Rogen. I don't even know who he is. I mean, I do, but his even my generation of his, Saturday Night Live guys. I mean, I it's a long time since I found that much humor there. But I was in. It was interesting that he's obviously an interesting guy. Uh, and it's funny because he there's a there's a line in the movie where Seth Rogen is trying to say, "Well, I came from nothing too. I didn't have anything. And he says, "Well, what were your parents?" And he says, "Well, my father was a gastroenterologist, and my mother was a lawyer, and I guess my grandfather gave me the money to." But when I looked up Aziz Ansari, that's actually his family background.
Yeah,
His mother's a lawyer. His father was an eminent doctor. uh,
know that.
it was interesting. I mean, it was interesting for me to see something that I expected to be ho hum, or at least maybe give me a couple of laughs. But it had an interesting edge to it. I don't know whether that's Hollywood being cynically uh, driven towards knowing what people want, or but it was very much on the side of the gig worker, or at least against the exploitation of the gig worker. Yeah.
And on a Hollywood production of that size, there have to be people at the lowest levels who are being treated in the same way that they're who are while millionaires no, but no, not to ruin it, but yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. No, because the the special $50 sandwich from J.G. Mellons is being rushed to the set by a gig worker, right?
And at least on the set, one of the things that makes Hollywood movies so expensive is that they are unionized, is that it is a unionized industry. And so actually most people on the set itself are making well, I don't know what a living wage is for LA, but are making a wage that has been agreed upon again by a union as sufficient. And so yeah, no, all of that's interesting.
I see that. Listen, when they make movies on the Upper East Side, I go to work and there's a huge uh, tent in the street with an enormous free breakfast there, and all the stage, everybody's hanging around. They do nothing but hang around and eat, it seems to me. And then for about 5 minutes at 4 o'clock, they film somebody walking down the street. I mean, well, you know this better than me. It's an unbelievably labor intensive, except for the actors, presumably. They spend a lot of time waiting to be told to come out of their trailers and walk down the street.
The funny thing is they don't even go back to their trailers because everyone's just on their phones. They'll just sit there right offside, like now.
I guess, yeah, yeah.
They'll wait right there on set because then no one has to call them back, and yeah. But no, it's an interesting industry. I've been watching Law and Order season 2. Like this is 1991.
That's interesting.
Right off the bat, an episode set at Christie's, and there's Gil, the doorman.
Oh, amazing.
Of course, but like, yeah, no, and as you know, and he's it's just an establishing shot, but he somehow always got himself because they have to get the establishing shot, and he's there out.
He is the establishing shot for that era, right? Of
So that, but also it doesn't hold up very well. Like
Philly.
it's Chris Noth and Paul Sorvino, and so this is like the classic era. Jerry Orbach guest stars as a lawyer, not as the cop he later plays on the show.
Chris Knowles, the guy with the long face,
He ended up on Sex.
stayed in it for years, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, he was the guy, but it's so hard boiled. Like it's very like they're so over the top. Like later Law and Order, it's more just sort of just the facts, closer to just Dragnet. The plot just kind of brought. Here they're rough enough perps and they're using all this like kind of cop slang. I don't know, it's very hard boiled in a way that I don't remember, and it definitely isn't in later years. It's not incredibly culturally sensitive. I mean, at all, like just a endless assortment of guest stars who later became famous using accents you know that they don't have, like Hector Alessandro. I don't know, just like these people who, like
Elizondo. Yeah.
these accents, but they're playing these just over the top caricatures of like Chinese restaurant owners, and yeah, no, it like culturally it doesn't hold up. It definitely doesn't paint cops in the best light, but I don't think it was really trying to. Like, I mean, again, like roughing up the perp, and I don't know if this was just we as a culture.
This is 91, 91.
Yeah.
So what else was out with the good? That was post Godfather, post Goodfellas. It is after that. So you were surprised it wasn't more culturally sensitive or nuanced.
Yes, I was. Like, and I'm because I watched these at the time uncritically. I mean, like it didn't.
But you watched them, but you watched them as critically as everybody else. I mean, if you know what I'm saying. In other words, it's not as if they were behind the times. The times were behind.
I don't know. I'm trying. I mean, I guess okay. At one point, again, a Chinese restaurant, they make a joke. One of the cops, like the protagonist, makes a joke about how I don't think this is beef, and that I do. I mean, obviously, people have made those kinds of jokes about all sorts of foreign restaurants, and let's be honest, in 2026 in America, people still do. But I didn't, and the people I knew didn't, even in the 90s. And so to see it on network television just as a throwaway.
Okay. So what's changed is the expectation, your expectations that that kind of show should better reflect the nuanced culture. You didn't expect it to then, right? You weren't shocked. Were you shocked when it didn't? I think I've got to write. I'm going to send a letter to the head of the network and tell them that they shouldn't be slurring Chinese restaurants, right? And but nobody else did either, did they? I mean, did the Chinese Chamber of Commerce?
And maybe that's what's different is that if they air an episode like that today, the very next day, the Chinese public
Yeah, exactly.
statement, and they would have a social media account where even they didn't need the media to promote it. They could go directly to the public and say, hey, this is wrong, and then the public could jump on directly. Yeah, okay, no, that's what's interesting. I probably was quietly outraged at the time and just yeah, I wasn't. It wasn't enough. I wouldn't have written a letter. That's yeah.
You didn't expect better.
Oh,
Network television.
especially not cop shows. I mean, I consider them all propaganda. They're all at some level. Their purpose is to humanize something I think shouldn't be humanized. Yeah. But in as much as I like any of them, Law and Order has always been the franchise I chose, and it's just yeah, it just it's interesting going back. It's interesting because it's still. I mean, some version of it is still on the air. They're still shooting on the streets of New York, and yeah.
Yeah, I watched it and I watched SVU, but it's a long time since I bailed, and I have I have no desire to pick it up. I
The other piece, again, in addition to it being very hard boiled, was how much it was about the cops and their home lives, because that's my problem with it now is that it's all almost like a soap opera, and it's about Mariska Hargitay and her family, and somehow they're always in jeopardy, and somehow she has to save her own, like it's become this weird soap opera. But I guess it started that way too. I guess somewhere in the middle is where it just was a straight police procedural, and it's sort of it worked its way back. But I didn't catch that it had started that way. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I watched it. It was fine. It's entertaining to go back to where you came from, or to something. Yeah, it's something that I had watched at the time, and to view it through a different lens.
most most of the European shows that I watch, whether they are hard boiled or light, that are police dramas or melodramas, it is absolutely, and this is cross cultural, Turkish state, it is essential that the cop has a complex private life that occupies at least 2/5, if not 3/5 of the time. And amazingly, his children get kidnapped or his wife gets, in other words, that even though, this is taking place in Vienna or Rome, there's a very small number of people. I mean, that they, the, the criminal, they all know each other somehow, or they're coincidence. But that's very much, I mean, I think they probably copy the American. I don't know if they copy the American, but it's essential, I guess. And maybe it's because they're getting a soap opera audience too, right?
The where I most invested in that was 24, where his over the course of nine
Yeah,
or must have been kidnapped at least 3 times each. Like,
yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah, I know.
and again, as far as propaganda, that was like the extreme of he was. It wasn't even just like accepting a little bit of like roughing up. He tortured people. I mean, he would.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he tortured him. I loved Jack Bauer for I don't I mean it must have been the George Bush post 9/11. I don't know, I can't explain that, but I loved it at the time. I completely
I watched 24. I don't know if I saw all of it, but I did watch it. Yeah. Hmm.
that made it compelling when it no yeah but yeah I don't it's not it is okay that they go into their that they have it is in fact I like it when they have a complex private life, but if I'm not already invested, then I can't jump in. There's already too much. Um, oh, you
What are
mentioned
you doing today?
I think just around the house, just like puttering around the house, hanging out,
Uh,
but mostly dishes and laundry and stuff like that. How about you? What's your
gonna have a nap now and then take the dogs out. I've had a long walk this morning. Actually, we went to Storm King Sculpture Park on Friday, and I walked about 3 miles, I mean, without uh, incident. So yeah,
I entered myself and my dogs in a virtual 5K. Um,
good,
and it you
great,
did I logged it and yeah, which is
good,
yeah.
great.
And what's your week look like?
Just PT, physical therapy. Really, I don't think I have a lot going on work-wise. I have some homework stuff that I'll start having to do maybe the week after next. Yeah, it's all good.
You do have travel planned in the fall?
No, 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 I don't have any. I shouldn't be doing anything strenuous until 4 months are up, which is July, August, September, October. So I'm not doing anything. I'll be in the city, but for a bit. But other than that, no, 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 no trouble. A great week. Great talking to you.